Yo, so guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to the top 5 most terrifying killer kids. It's probably going to be quite a sensitive, well, it is going to be quite a sensitive topic, so if you're not into this kind of stuff, don't watch the reaction basically, because I know a lot of people may be like, I don't know, just may not like the sort of topics. I'm really into true crime. This isn't this, probably not, it's not to the same degree. Well, I guess it is somewhat, but obviously it's not like a documentary on a specific crime that's happened, but I do watch a lot of true crime videos on my own. There's a channel called JCS that I watch. I've watched all of their videos. They're incredible. There's other channels that I watch as well. I do really enjoy true crime. Again, this isn't to the same degree, but maybe in future I will start doing those reactions. I don't know how they'd go down though. But yeah, top 5 most terrifying killer kids. I don't know how young they will be. I did watch a documentary recently about the 2 kids in England, but the youngest serial killer kids or whatever, and it's just absolutely ridiculous how you can be so young and do something so brutal, but it happens, man. And we're going to see in this one probably even crazier cases. I don't know if you'll know what case I'm on about. It's the one where they take them to like a train track, and it's just sad. I mean, it kind of makes me feel like a psycho, the fact that I watch these true crime things, but it's just sort of like seeing what can go through people's heads, let alone children. It's a weird one, but there's always that little bit of interest. I feel like every human has this kind of stuff, but yeah, I mean, we're going to watch this, hopefully go and enjoy. If you want more reactions like this, maybe I'll do some in future, but yeah, quick shout out to my Instagram, my Twitter, links in the description for those interested. Same for Patreon, links all there for those interested, but let's jump into this, man. Let's just jump into this.
Top 5 most horrifying killer kids. Murder is the last thing.
Oh, so it's not going to be the youngest ones. For a minute I thought it was going to be the youngest ones. It's just going to be like the most effed up ones.
You'd expect a child to do. But just like adults, there are kids damaged beyond repair as a result of circumstances beyond their control. Sometimes they're even just broken from the start. The next 5 children looked ordinary from the outside, but on the inside there was something sinister lurking. Here are the top 5 most horrifying killer kids.
This is about to be brutal as hell, man.
Number 5, Eric Smith.
13.
At 13 years old, Eric Smith had thick aviator glasses.
He does not look 13, he looks about 7. How is he able to do anything to anyone?
Tousled red hair and freckles. He looked like your typical American teen. But there was something different about him. At a young age, Eric was prone to explosive anger and violence. As a toddler, he would throw tantrums and bang his head on the floor for no reason. Later on, psychiatrists would diagnose him with intermittent explosive disorder, a mental problem causing sufferers to be violent and unpredictable. Add to the fact that Eric was often bullied at school, and the boy became a ticking time bomb. On August 2nd, 1983, the bomb exploded. Summer camp had started, and 4-year-old Derek Robbie was walking to the park where the camp was held. It was only 2 blocks away from his home with no streets to cross. Eric chanced upon Derek walking alone, and he lured him into the nearby woods, explaining there was a shortcut. Without warning, Eric began strangling the little boy until he fell to the ground unconscious. He then proceeded to pick up 2 large rocks, one after the other, and slam them into his head, resulting in the death of young Derek.
Bro.
Eric proceeded to undress the boy and sodomize him with a tree branch.
So what the hell is that? What I think? If that's what I think is, I don't know what sodomize is, but if that's what oh my god, man!
He rifled through his lunch bag, smashed a banana, and dumped red Kool-Aid over his mutilated face. By 11 a.m., Derek's mother, Doreen, arrived at the park to pick up her son, but was told he didn't arrive. Shortly after, a search operation was underway, and Derek's body
How have you left how old is this kid? How have you left him on his own?
was found. 4 days after this, Eric Smith walked into the police station and offered his help with the case. He gave information and asked questions in a somewhat gleeful way. The investigator didn't think much more of it, as it seemed simply like a child who wanted to play cop. That is, until he mentioned seeing Derek from across the street in an open field, which placed him at the crime scene. Eric was also able to describe Derek's clothes, including the lunch bag he had in his hand that day. 7 days after the murder, Smith confessed to killing Derek. He He received the maximum jail sentence of 9 years to life, with parole eligibility every 2 years after the first 9 years. He's been denied every parole hearing and remains incarcerated to this day.
That's what I love to hear. I tell you what, I know it's a sticky situation, a sticky subject situation, whatever. When really young kids get locked up, some people think, oh, they're too young, they can't control their thinking, so you're not going to jail them for as long. But there's, again, the case in England. They've both been released, they've got witness protection. One of them keeps coming in and out of prison. And he's just not, like, surely at one point you sort of realise he's killed someone. I think he got caught with, like, child things on his computer a lot more recently. So he's just an absolute wrong-un, to say the least. And he's still being let out in and out of prison. Like, I feel like no matter what, just keep them in prison. Like, oh. Especially when you kill someone like this. Oh my God, man. So that's what I like to hear, the fact that he's still locked up.
Number 4, Christopher Pittman.
12.
It was 2001, and at just 12 years old, Christopher Pittman was already getting into so much trouble that he decided to run away from home. When he was caught, he was placed in an institutional facility and given the antidepressant drug Paxil. He was then shuffled off to live with his grandparents, and with the new town and new home, there came a new doctor too. The Paxil was working for Chris, but wasn't available, so his new doctor prescribed Zoloft instead. Zoloft is known to induce various side effects in children, including aggression, hallucinations, depression, and delusion.
Is this the same company that makes the Pfizer vaccine? That's just a weird one. Maybe not, but that's just weird to see that. Why would you give a kid this if it gives you these side effects? I mean, maybe they didn't have that back in the day, but that information back in the day, but come on, man.
After the switch, Christopher began experiencing severe side effects, including a burning sensation all over his body. It got so bad he required additional pain medication. After his grandparents complained that he still felt the side effects, oddly, his Zoloft dosage was increased from 100 milligrams each day to 200 milligrams.
God damn, man.
Christopher's behavior started becoming more erratic. He ended up choking a fellow student after an argument on the bus. Later, he disturbed the individual playing piano inside his church. That night, he got into a fight with his grandfather and received a spanking. Mad with rage, he marched inside his grandparents' bedroom, took out the shotgun which he had been taught to use, and shot both his grandparents.
Oh my God.
Using paper and candles, he then set the house on fire and took his grandparents' car, their guns, his dog, and $33 and left. Eventually picked up by police later that night, he told them he had been kidnapped by a man who killed his grandparents. After intense questioning, he eventually confessed to his crimes and even added that his grandparents deserved what they got.
Bro, that is absolutely nuts, man. Oh my days, this is a lot. He's going into the deep information as well. God damn, it's graphic as hell. Like I said, if you're not into this kind of stuff, please don't. I mean, if you want to be watching it, then maybe it's too late now, but...
His trial centered on the controversial drug Zoloft and the effects it had on children. The doctor who doubled his dosage was never charged for any crime. Currently, Christopher Pittman is still incarcerated and serving a 30-year to life sentence.
Good to hear, man.
Number 3, Joshua Phillips. It was November 3rd, 1998, and 8-year-old Maddie Clifton had disappeared. Police and volunteers searched dumpsters in the surrounding woods near her home, hoping to find some sort of clue for her whereabouts. What they didn't know was that Maddie was right across the street from her house the whole time, stuffed underneath a waterbed inside her friend and playmate, 14-year-old Joshua Phillips' bedroom. Josh had no history of violence. He claimed that one afternoon Maddie came over and invited him to play baseball. Maddie threw the ball, and he hit it, sending it back at her, accidentally hitting her in the eye, causing her to bleed. Panicked, Josh brought her inside his house. Josh's abusive father had a strict no visitors policy, and afraid of what his reaction would be if he found her inside, he dragged Maddie into his bedroom and proceeded to strangle her with a phone cord for 15 minutes.
Fuck me, man. Bro, this is absolutely... How is that your instinct? Oh my God.
Afterwards, he hit her with the baseball bat and then stabbed her 11 times. There was no evidence of sexual assault, but Maddie's body was found naked from the waist down. By the time his father had come home, Josh had stuffed Maddie's body underneath his waterbed mattress, and there it sat for several days decomposing.
Would that not smell?
Police began the search party, and after days of turning up empty, they decided to call it off. 7 days after Maddie's disappearance, Josh's mom, Missy Phillips, was cleaning his bedroom when she noticed a wet spot on the floor and thought his waterbed was leaking. She lifted up the mattress to try and locate the leak, and that's when she discovered Maddie's body.
Bro, imagine being his mum in that moment. How scared and just shocked you'd be.
In horror, she ran next door and called the police. Josh was arrested in school that day. He confessed to killing Maddie, explaining the fear of his abusive father's reaction as the motive for murdering the little girl. In 1999, Joshua Phillips was convicted of first-degree murder and was sentenced to life in prison without the eligibility for parole. Number 2, Cindy and Shirley. 15-year-old Cindy Collier and 14-year-old Shirley Wolfe had a history of abuse and brush-ins with the law. Cindy was abused her whole life and raped before she turned 10. By the time she was 15, her rap sheet included theft, burglary, drug abuse, and assault. Shirley also had a similar disruptive past. Her own father, uncle, and paternal grandfather had sexually abused her from the...
That is fucked, man. Bro, I hate people. I just hate people, man. I just hate people. Imagine being that girl. Like, what's that gonna do to you? Oh, man. Oh, my God. That makes me feel sick.
Time she was an infant. By the time she was 6, she ran away from home several times until eventually authorities took notice and her father was arrested for the abuse. After he was convicted, she was sent into various foster homes and detention centers. After meeting only 8 hours before at a bus stop, the girls bonded over their mutual life circumstances and decided they would run away together. They spent time hatching a plan, which involved killing a stranger, then stealing their car. Both girls dyed their hair as a feeble attempt at disguising themselves and went around Cindy's old neighborhood, Auburn Greens in California. They began knocking on doors, and while the majority didn't let them inside their home, finally, one elderly woman did. Anna Brackett, an 85-year-old with grandkids of her own, allowed them in. The girls asked to use the phone, and they chatted with the victim for about an hour. At some point, Anna answered a phone call from her son, who was en route to drive her off to a bingo game. Knowing they had little time, the girls attacked.
See, like, I was sort of hoping it was going to be against the family members who've done stuff to them. Not just... this one is just... I can't even put it into words, man. It's just... fucked all over. I'm trying to not swear anymore. I'm trying to swear less, but this stuff just... I can't help it.
Cindy grabbed a knife, tossed it to Shirley, who immediately began stabbing Brackett in the back over and over again.
Man.
Anna begged for her life, but the girls kept going until she was dead. After the kill, the girls ransacked the place, looked for cash, and grabbed 2 keys from the counter. The keys they took were the wrong ones for the 1970 Dodge in the garage, and so the girls ran on foot near Highway 49. Oddly enough, Carl Brackett, the son of the victim, saw the 2 girls while he was on his way to his mother's home. Once he got there, he discovered the grisly scene. Eyewitnesses eventually came forward, which led to the girls becoming suspects. Once confronted by police, Shirley immediately admitted to the crime, while Cindy didn't say anything. During interrogation, Cindy was confronted with Shirley's confession, and she began to laugh. She then said, "To honestly tell you the truth, we didn't feel any badness. Then after we did it, we wanted to do another one. We just wanted to kill someone, just for fun."
Jeez, man.
Both girls were convicted of the crime, with Cindy serving the maximum of 9 years for her
I mean, that's all on their parents, but still, just fuck their parents firstly, or people who affected them. And I don't know, it's such a touchy subject, but like, just
juvenile.
That's so fucked.
She was then paroled in 1992 and has had no further run-ins with the law. As for Wolfe, the crime, with Cindy serving the maximum of 9 years for a juvenile. She was then paroled in 1992 and has had no further run-ins with the law. As for
wow.
Wolf, she was freed on June 30th, 1995, and has been arrested several times since for petty crimes.
Okay. God damn.
Number 1, Tyler Hadley.
17.
July 16th, 2011. Everyone at school could tell it was going to be a big party. 17-year-old Tyler Hadley from Port St. Lucie, Florida, kept telling his friends he'd be throwing a rager, but no one thought it would happen. He'd been getting in trouble lately, and as a result, his parents were being extra strict with him. But Tyler had no intentions of letting his parents get in the way of his fun.
Oh my days.
Around 5 p.m., several hours before the party, Tyler popped some ecstasy, grabbed a hammer from the garage, and marched inside his family room where his mom, Mary Jo, was on the computer working. Tyler stood behind her, and as she turned to face him, he struck her on top of the head. Hearing her screams, Tyler's dad, Blake, came rushing into the room. When Blake asked why he was doing this, Tyler's only reply was, "Why the hell not?" He then bludgeoned his father to death, finished off his mother, and dragged their bodies to their bedroom, where he began piling clothes and
Hey, yo, at least he had his party, right?
furniture on top of them. He locked the bedroom door and cleaned for about 3 hours, just in time for his guests to arrive.
Jeez.
By 11 p.m., the party was in full swing. Close to 60 kids were inside the house that night. They were playing beer pong, stubbing cigarettes everywhere, smashing bottles, and trashing the house. A few of them later recalled sitting down at the computer, taking turns playing songs on YouTube, and noticing a brown, sticky substance, which they assumed to be Coke or beer. Later on, it was found to be Mary Jo's blood, which Tyler had tried to get rid of using coffee granules.
Oh my days.
The party kept going while Tyler's behavior bobbed from panicky to gleeful. At some point, he told his best friend what happened, detailing how he killed his parents, even showing him a bloody footprint in the garage before ultimately revealing their bodies in the bedroom. By 4:40 a.m., the police arrived. His friend Michael Mandel had called Crime Stoppers to report the murder, and Tyler was arrested when the police discovered the horrifying
What a
sight.
sick.
Tyler's explanations for the crime varied. First, he blamed medications he was taking, then said his father was not his real dad, and insinuated he was physically abusive. Neither of these were true. Finally, he admitted that it was because he wanted to throw a party, but knew his parents would object to it.
Jeez, man.
Tyler Hadley was originally charged with first-degree murder and sentenced to life with no chance of parole. But as of 2016, his case will be open for resentencing due to the Supreme Court 2012 ruling that
When was this video made? As of 2016. Oh, this was made in 2016.
barred minors from receiving life imprisonment without parole. So those were the top 5 most horrifying killer kids. Whether these children were a product of their environment, simply born evil, or perhaps a mix of both, the thought that a young person can commit such a terrible act like murdering is truly disturbing.
It is fuck, man. I can't. These videos are just nuts, bro. Who the hell lets a 4-year-old walk anywhere alone? Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Ginger with thick aviator. Eric was off from balloon school. Shocking. Fuck's sake. His comment, man. What parent in their right mind would let a 4-year-old walk 2 blocks alone to a park nowadays? It's messed up, man. Who lets a 4-year-old walk? At least everyone's on my wavelength, man. Shows ginger kid with granddad glasses. He looked like a typical kid. Alrighty then. When you give birth to your own killer, that's sad. Yeah, that is just... It just does things to your head. The thought of that just baffles me. Doing it to your own parents, man. Because you wanted a party, like, just fix up. It's weird how all these guys on here are still in prison, except for the girls who said they'd do it again. They got out after a couple of years. I guess with that, people saying female privilege. I was sort of thinking maybe the backstory, but even then, it's not really an excuse, is it? I don't know. I'm not going to get into those reasonings, but yeah, these were absolutely ridiculous, man. I mean, I'm definitely down to see more of these, but I just know they won't be for everyone. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. More of this on the way. Dark, but I know there are people who do enjoy these reactions and just these topics, but enjoy to a degree. They're interesting. Not enjoyable, interesting. Not enjoyable at all. But yeah, hopefully you did enjoy this. Stop saying enjoy. Hopefully you found this reaction interesting. And yeah, until next time, like, subscribe, peace.